Secretary for Food and Health Ko Wing-man asked wholesalers to consider using smaller vehicles to transport poultry and to make deliveries to fewer and more concentrated destinations. Ko said the government has to stand firm on this issue to prevent the spread of bird flu. He did admit that the checkpoint would be a failure if the system can't solve the problem. A chicken trader said he thinks the government's suggestion would only increase the burden on the checkpoint and create more traffic along delivery routes. Some chicken breeders plan to stage a protest on Sunday, bringing with them 5,000 live chickens. Authorities say local breeders must obtain permission from the Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department before they can export live chickens. Stephanie Choi, TVB News.
The MTR Corporation says more than 60% of Hong Kong's section of the express rail link connecting the city with the mainland has been completed. The government admitted that implementing border control measures at the Hong Kong terminus still poses a great challenge, but refused to say if it has any backup plans. According to the railway giant, the Guangzhou-Shenzhen-Hong Kong express rail link was just under 65% finished by September. In the LegCo Railway Subcommittee today, legislators demanded that the government clarify the situation with co-location. That is, to have customs, immigration and quarantine or CIQ facilities at the Hong Kong terminus.
If you want mainland officials to enforce the law in Hong Kong, you need to have local legislation, right? If ultimately mainland officials cannot enforce the law in Hong Kong, in the worst scenario, what fallback mechanism do you have? We need to know what kind of white elephant this is, how big this white elephant is. Constitutionally speaking, this is a great challenge, and we're still exploring alternatives to co-location arrangement. But at present, what we're focusing on is on co-location of CIQ facilities.
Lawmakers also asked about the over-budget issue, which the MTR Corporation earlier said would be at least $6.5 billion more than previously estimated. Yao said the government is waiting for answers from the railway firm, after which it will decide whether it needs to apply for more funding.
More overseas news now, and a top French economist has turned down the country's highest award, the Légion d'honneur. Thomas Piketty declined the prize, saying he doesn't think it's up to the government to decide who's honourable. Piketty shot to fame and topped bestseller lists in 2014 with his book Capital in the 21st Century, which is about wealth and inequality. In it, he puts forward that it's a myth that wealth is earned and deserved. The book has attracted both praise and invective. Piketty was once close to France's ruling Socialist Party. Recently, however, he's become critical of the government of President François Hollande. Elsewhere in Europe, an Icelandic Coast Guard ship is towing a cargo vessel to Italy with about 450 migrants who were abandoned by smugglers. It's the second case in the area this week involving abandoned migrants. Italian Coast Guard officials said that after several hours of struggling in rough seas, rescue teams managed to secure the Ezadine for towing towards the southern part of Italy. The Icelandic ship is part of a new European patrol force to aid stricken migrants at sea and has been tasked with securing the vessel and doing the tow to Italy.
A manhunt continues in the Canadian city of Calgary after at least one gunman opened fire at a New Year's Eve house party, leaving one person dead and 6 others injured. About 50 people were at the party at the time of the attack. Police say they're still not sure if there was more than one shooter. Investigators say the motive is still unclear, but they believe the attack was an isolated incident. Police are asking members of the city's African communities, who are reportedly among the victims, for cooperation. Mario Cuomo, a former governor of the state of New York, who flirted with running for the U.S. presidency, has died. He was 82. Cuomo is remembered for being a leading voice of the Democratic Party's liberal wing. He served 3 terms as New York's governor from 1983 to 1994. Cuomo was also known for staying out of the presidential races in 1988 and 1992. He was dubbed Hamlet on the Hudson for agonizing publicly over whether to run for the White House. He died of natural causes due to heart failure yesterday, hours after his son Andrew was sworn in for a second time as New York's governor.
He's in the heart and mind of every person who is here. He's here and he's here. And his inspiration and his legacy and his experience is what has brought this state to this point.
All right, Tony, over to you for sports.
Yep, lots of exciting stuff to talk about in football, matches and also retirement. But let's talk about the action on the pitch first. And Frank Lampard proved why Manchester City still think he's got game when he scored the winner in City's match against Sunderland last night. The goal would prove decisive later when Lampard's former club Chelsea went down in flames against Tottenham.
Manchester City needed to beat Sunderland to keep pace with